In the annals of history, there are few enigmas as perplexing as the disappearance of a civilization whose very existence seems to defy logic. Imagine a culture so advanced, so meticulously crafted, that even the ruins left behind invoke more questions than answers. But what truly stands out is the fact that despite these incredible remnants, like this civilization vanishes from the historical record with barely a whisper. No grand disaster, no cataclysmic event to explain its fall, just an abrupt disappearance that leaves the world to wonder. How can an entire culture vanish without a trace? A footprint left behind, yet no foot to match it. This isn't a myth nor a tale of forgotten cities buried under sand. This is a real physical site, a location that doesn't make sense. A place where human history should have thrived, but instead it seems to have been erased. What could have happened to such an extraordinary society? And why does its story remain so obscured, its disappearance so complete? The search for answers begins here, in the silence of the past. The site in question, shrouded in mystery, is unlike any other ever discovered. When first unearthed, it was clear that this civilization had a mastery of architecture that surpassed anything believed possible for the period. Structures of colossal proportions made from materials that don't seem to belong in the timeline of human progress stood as silent testaments to a lost world. But what truly sets these ruins apart are the architectural anomalies that should have never existed at that time. Historians and archaeologists have spent decades trying to make sense of the craftsmanship. Some elements suggesting a level of engineering far beyond what was thought possible for that age. Buildings constructed with mathematical precision, layouts that ignore the architectural trends of surrounding civilizations, and tools so advanced they could have been fashioned in a later, more industrial era. Experts are left grappling with the same impossible question. How could a people from such a seemingly primitive time have possessed such knowledge? As if the very rules of history had been bent and twisted, this civilization has forced us to question everything we thought we knew about ancient human capability. When explorers first stumbled upon these ruins, their excitement quickly turned to bewilderment. They had uncovered something far older, far stranger than any previous find. Initial documentation was filled with confusion. Artifacts and relics were discovered in layers of earth, but they seemed out of place. Some objects appeared to be centuries older than the structures surrounding them, while others suggested techniques and materials that should not have existed in that period. It was as if the past itself had been torn apart and scrambled, leaving pieces of an unknown puzzle scattered across the landscape. The more these explorers dug, the more they realized that they were standing on the threshold of a mystery with no logical explanation. Early excavation reports were filled with hesitant words, terms like unprecedented, conflicting, inconclusive. And as they unearthed more, the question loomed larger. Was this truly a lost civilization, or something even more elusive? Something that had never fit into the timeline of history at all? Despite the excitement of the initial discovery, the site quickly faded into obscurity, dismissed by early scholars as an anomaly, an error in the historical record. The ruins were relegated to the status of curiosity, an artifact too strange and inconvenient to fit neatly into the established story of human progress. Some even labeled it irrelevant, assuming it was nothing more than the remnants of an undiscovered and unimportant group. But in doing so, they ignored the glaring contradictions that begged to be addressed. For centuries, the ruins remained largely forgotten, their mysteries buried beneath layers of academic skepticism. Yet, as time passed, more and more pieces of the puzzle began to emerge, each one casting a shadow of doubt over the dismissals of the past. And now, as modern archaeologists take a second, more careful look, the question arises once more: what if something important has been hidden here all along, in plain sight? What secrets could have been overlooked for so long, and how many more still lie beneath the soil, waiting to be uncovered? As the ruins were excavated further, one of the most perplexing discoveries came in the form of strange carvings and symbols etched into the walls of buildings. At first glance, they appeared to be simple forms, squiggling lines, geometric shapes, and abstract patterns. But closer inspection revealed that they were much more than that. The symbols did not resemble anything known to the experts, nor did they align with the written languages of any nearby civilizations. In fact, linguists and historians admitted that the script seemed to come from nowhere. These markings, unlike anything recorded before, have sparked intense debates among scholars. Some believe they are part of a lost, forgotten language, a form of communication that never reached the outside world. Others speculate that these symbols are a form of proto-writing, an early attempt to record thoughts and ideas in a way that would eventually evolve into a more recognizable script. Yet, despite years of research and analysis, no one has been able to decipher the meaning behind them. The silence left by these untranslatable symbols haunts the ruins, suggesting a story untold, forever locked within the stone. Among the most baffling finds at the site were the strange tools, ceramics, and metals, objects that defied classification. No known culture, neither ancient nor modern, possessed the same materials or craftsmanship. Pottery fragments were unlike any other discovered from surrounding civilizations, displaying unfamiliar glazes and firing techniques. Some tools, made from an unidentifiable metal, showed signs of wear that suggested advanced usage, but bore no resemblance to the tools of the era. What if these objects belong to a society we've never cataloged, a people whose very existence was erased from history? These artifacts seem to exist in a vacuum, disconnected from the established timelines. They raise unsettling questions about what we may have missed in our understanding of the ancient world. Could there have been a civilization so advanced, so enigmatic, that it left behind nothing but these forgotten remnants? And if so, why did it vanish without a trace? The discovery of human remains within the ruins raised even more questions. The skeletal structures were unlike anything found in nearby cultures. Their features suggested an entirely different origin, and forensic analysis revealed startling genetic anomalies. What baffled researchers even further were the dietary patterns revealed through isotopic analysis, patterns that contradicted regional history. These people didn't eat what the surrounding populations ate, nor did they follow the same subsistence strategies. How did a group so unique simply disappear? The skeleton's condition told another strange story. They showed signs of advanced medical care, surgical techniques that were thought to be developed centuries later, yet the absence of any other remains suggested a sudden and unanticipated end. What happened to this people? How could they have vanished, leaving no trace but these strange bones? Was their disappearance the result of a disease, a disaster, or something far more mysterious? Scientists still wonder if the answer lies hidden in the skeletons themselves. Perhaps the most compelling evidence of a lost world came in the form of mysterious rituals. Scattered across the ruins were remnants of ceremonial sites, stone altars, peculiar ritual objects, and strange iconography that hinted at a deeply complex belief system. Yet, curiously, there were no surviving myths or religious texts that could explain these rites. No gods, no heroes, no written stories to tie the ceremonies to. The absence of mythology in such a richly symbolic society is unnerving. Historians have attempted to reconstruct these rituals, but much of it remains speculative. What if the civilization's religious beliefs were too complex, too unique to be fully understood? Or what if the beliefs themselves were so advanced or obscure that they were deliberately left out of historical record? These ceremonies, frozen in time, continue to haunt modern researchers. How does a civilization vanish without leaving behind its gods, its myths, or its stories? The unanswered questions linger as the rituals offer no clear explanations, only an eerie silence, deepening the mystery of a culture that may never be fully understood. At some point in the distant past, the thriving culture that once flourished here suddenly came to a halt. Archaeologists have found an unsettling pattern. The art, the pottery, the intricate symbols, and the architecture all ceased abruptly. The final pieces of ceramic, once painstakingly crafted, were left half finished, as if the potter's hands had been frozen mid action. The last carvings on the walls, rich with meaning, stopped in mid thought, as though the chisel had fallen from the artisan's grasp. Construction halted, leaving massive, incomplete structures, monuments that were meant to last for millennia, now abandoned, their purpose lost to time. Despite years of research, no one has been able to offer a coherent explanation for this instant cultural freeze. What could have caused an entire civilization, vibrant with artistic expression, to stop creating so suddenly? What forced their hands to still? The abrupt end to their craftsmanship raises more questions than answers. The silence left behind is deafening. Perhaps the most haunting discovery at the site came from the homes, where signs of daily life were frozen in time. In one home, a meal was left untouched on a stone table, bread loaves half baked, and bowls of stew still simmering as if waiting for someone to return and finish them. Tools lay scattered in the middle of tasks, abandoned in mid-use. Hammers left poised in mid-swing, baskets half-woven, the labor left unfinished. It's as if the people simply vanished, mid-life, mid-routine, without a trace. The eeriness of these discoveries is overwhelming. What could have caused such an abrupt and total disappearance? Why did no one ever return to finish what they had started? No signs of struggle, no evidence of forced departure, just an immediate and unexplained cessation of life. These untouched scenes offer an unsettling glimpse into a moment frozen forever, a snapshot of a civilization on the brink of vanishing. What caused the sudden departure? Was it fear or something more? Beneath the surface, the soil tells a story of its own, one that contradicts the popular explanations for sudden cultural collapses. There is no evidence of fire, war, or natural disaster. No burnt earth, no signs of violent destruction, no ash or charred remains to suggest an invasion or an apocalypse. The soil layers should show signs of upheaval, but they don't. It's as if something else entirely was responsible for the disappearance. Scientists have examined the site from every possible angle and have come to an unnerving conclusion. This doesn't fit any known pattern. The absence of any typical disaster markers, like scorch marks or violent decay, leaves the scientists at a loss. No one can explain why this society, so rich in culture and innovation, would simply vanish without any trace of what might have happened. There is no trace of external forces, no evidence of a cataclysm, just silence. The mystery remains. What happened here? What makes this mystery even more unsettling is the fact that the city remained untouched for centuries, hidden deep within. The earth, it lay waiting, shielded by the passage of time, or perhaps by something more intentional. Why did no one, no conquerors, no explorers, rediscover the ruins for so long? It seems as if the city itself had been erased from memory. This was not a forgotten place in the traditional sense. It was as if it had been purposefully concealed, left to decay quietly and patiently, forgotten by the world. What if someone, or something, had made sure the city remained hidden? Why did it lie dormant, its existence unnoticed by history? Was there an effort to erase it, to keep its secrets locked away? The city's silence stretches across centuries, but the lingering question remains: was this erasure deliberate? One of the most widely discussed theories surrounding the disappearance of this lost civilization is the exile hypothesis. Could this society have been driven out by some unknown external force, forced to abandon their home and leave everything behind? It's an unsettling thought, an entire people displaced, not by the ravages of war, but by a force so powerful and mysterious that they fled, leaving their vast culture and civilization in ruins. But where did they go? And why leave their home so suddenly? If they had been exiled, would they have taken their knowledge and artifacts with them? Did they scatter across distant lands, or perhaps vanish into the wilderness, never to be seen again? The theory is compelling but troubling. No evidence of a migration route, no sign of them taking to the seas or crossing great distances to seek refuge, raises further questions. Were they forced to leave so abruptly without time to salvage their civilization, or is there another explanation lurking just beneath the surface? Another theory suggests that the people of this vanished civilization underwent a mass migration, abandoning their home and spreading out across the land. But if this is true, why is there no trace of their journey? Typically, when large groups of people move, they leave behind traces of their passage: roads, ruins, tools, or campsites. Yet in this case, no such evidence has ever been found. No migration routes, no signs of large-scale movement, nothing. This theory, while intriguing, raises its own troubling questions. How does a people on the move leave no trail at all? What could have happened to their migration that leaves so few traces behind? Did they vanish without leaving a clue? Or is there a deeper explanation, one that we've yet to uncover? The mystery of their relocation, if it ever happened, only deepens as researchers find themselves confronted with an absence where there should be evidence. A more sinister theory suggests that it wasn't the entire population that disappeared, but rather the elite, leaders, priests, and rulers who vanished, causing the collapse of the civilization. What if the ones who held power and knowledge simply escaped, leaving the rest of the people to fall into disarray and chaos? This would explain the sudden and unexplained collapse. When the central figures of a society disappear, the resulting vacuum could cause a total breakdown. Yet, this theory faces a major hurdle. No remains of any elite class have ever been found. There are no signs of special burial rites, no luxurious graves, no artifacts linked to a higher caste. If the ruling class did escape, why did they leave no trace? Could it be that they were not buried with their society, but instead simply vanished, leaving nothing behind but the mystery of their disappearance? Among the more fringe but persistent theories is the idea of sudden vaporization. This theory proposes that the people of this civilization didn't just disappear through conventional means, They were somehow erased, wiped off the face of the earth in an instant. Some claim it could have been a natural phenomenon, a sudden cosmic event, or even an advanced technological disaster. Yet, there is no concrete evidence to support such a radical claim, only the eerie possibility that the civilization was completely vaporized, leaving no trace. The problem with this theory is its lack of empirical support. No evidence of radiation, no signs of a cataclysmic event, no burned earth, nothing that would suggest such an event took place. But equally, there is nothing to definitively disprove it. The theory lingers in the shadows, leaving a nagging question. Could something, some force beyond our understanding, have erased an entire civilization in an instant without a trace? Until we find proof, the theory remains just that, a strange enigma waiting for an answer that may never come. From the very beginning, whispers circulated among researchers about early excavation papers that seemed to vanish into thin air. Reports that should have documented the first findings in vivid detail were rumored to have been lost, misplaced, or quietly locked away in restricted archives. Official explanations were vague: clerical errors, archival mishaps, misplaced documents, but the timing of their disappearance raised eyebrows. Why would crucial reports from the earliest digs, when the most groundbreaking artifacts were discovered, suddenly go missing? Some archaeologists claim to have seen early drafts filled with controversial observations, details that contradicted established historical timelines or suggested a cultural sophistication that didn't fit mainstream narratives. But those drafts never made it to publication. It begs the question, were these findings too disruptive, too unsettling for the scholarly world to accept? And if so, who made the decision to bury them? The suspicion that vital information was deliberately concealed lingers like a shadow over the site, hinting that the official story may be only half the truth. Among the site's early researchers was a respected archaeologist known for his bold claims and meticulous work. In his initial notes, he described the ruins as unlike anything he had ever seen, a genuine anomaly, a civilization that defied classification. He spoke passionately about the site's unique architecture, unusual artifacts, and the unexplained features that challenged conventional understanding. Yet, just a few months later, he abruptly changed his story. Publicly, he dismissed the ruins as unremarkable, insisting that his early enthusiasm had been exaggerated. Privately, he withdrew from research altogether. After rescinding his groundbreaking statements, he never published again, an eerie silence that many found suspicious. What made him reverse his claims so suddenly? Did he uncover something unsettling, something he was warned not to reveal? His silence has fueled endless speculation, leaving behind a chilling question. What truth forced this scholar into retreat? Deep beneath the ruins lies a sealed chamber, an underground room discovered during one of the early excavation seasons. Researchers initially believed it could contain ceremonial artifacts or burial remains, but when instruments were lowered to measure the chamber environment, the equipment returned data that made the team uneasy. The unexpected readings, as the official notes blandly described them, were never fully explained. Whether they were abnormal energy fluctuations, unexplained heat signatures, or something more mysterious remains unknown. What is known is that almost immediately after the readings came in, the decision was made to reseal the chamber. Teams refused to open it, citing safety protocols and unstable conditions, though some whispered that fear, not caution, guided the choice. The chamber remains untouched today, a locked vault beneath the earth, holding secrets that no one seems willing or allowed to uncover. What lies behind those walls? And why was the decision to leave it sealed so swift and unquestioned? Throughout the history of the excavation, certain artifacts have mysteriously vanished before reaching the museum archives. Large crates documented during the packing process were later reported missing, while smaller objects, intricately carved stones, unusual metal tools, and fragments of unknown script simply disappeared during transport. Some believe they were stolen, taken by collectors hungry for forbidden relics. Others suspect something more deliberate, a quiet effort to remove pieces that didn't align with accepted historical narratives. Modern researchers investigating these missing items often find incomplete records and contradictory explanations. A transport log might say the artifacts were damaged. A museum catalog claims they were never received, while an inventory sheet lists them as temporarily held, a status that never seems to change. The question that haunts historians is simple. What was in those crates? And why were the most controversial pieces the ones that vanished? These gaps in the official record cast long shadows, suggesting that what we know about the site is only a fragment of what once existed. One of the most startling features of the ruined city is the stonework. Carvings so intricate and precise that they appear to defy the technological limitations of the era. Blocks of stone, some weighing several tons, were cut with such razor-sharp accuracy that even modern tools would struggle to replicate the seamless joins. The smoothness, the symmetry, and the minute details suggest a level of craftsmanship that simply shouldn't have existed in this region at that time. For decades, historians have debated how such precision was achieved. Did this civilization invent tools we have yet to identify, or did they possess a knowledge of stone manipulation that has completely vanished? The deeper researchers look, the more perplexing the evidence becomes. Every carved surface whispers of an expertise far beyond what the timeline allows, challenging long-held assumptions about ancient technology. While stonework provides one set of mysteries, the metal artifacts unearthed at the site offer another entirely. Among the most baffling finds are metal tools and decorative items forged using techniques that would not be replicated until centuries, sometimes millennia, later. Some alloys appear unusually pure, while others reveal complex layering methods that archaeologists struggle to explain. These artifacts should not exist, not according to the established sequence of technological development. What if this civilization possessed a far more advanced understanding of metallurgy than anyone has admitted? Could they have mastered methods that were lost long before they could spread to neighboring cultures? The implications are unsettling. If these people had knowledge of metalworking that surpassed much later societies, then the disappearance of that knowledge becomes an even deeper mystery. Why did such sophistication vanish? And what did these techniques mean for the daily lives of a people who left behind so many technological contradictions? Beneath the ruins lies a network of channels and reservoirs that confounds modern engineers. These water systems display a level of planning, hydraulic knowledge, and environmental adaptation that rivals far more advanced cultures. The precision of the channels, the placement of the reservoirs, and the way the water flow was controlled suggests an intimate understanding of the land, one that appears far ahead of anything known from nearby civilizations. What puzzles researchers most is the innovation embedded in the design. Why would such advanced knowledge arise in this remote, isolated culture? And more importantly, why did it vanish entirely? There's no evidence that neighboring societies adopted or even knew of these engineering feats. It's as if the knowledge existed only here, and when the civilization disappeared, so did the technology. The channels remain silent and dry, hints of a brilliance that left no heirs. Among the Izumachushen's more controversial ideas surrounding this lost civilization is the notion that they may have tapped into a natural energy source unknown to us today. Some researchers point to unusual scorch marks, magnetic anomalies, or unexplained patterns in the ruins as evidence that the society harnessed something beyond simple fire or water power. These fringe theories suggest that the people understood forces that modern science has yet to fully explore. Energy drawn from the earth, the sky, or some other hidden reservoir. While no concrete proof supports these claims, the consistency with which these anomalies appear around the site keeps the debate alive. What if this mysterious energy was not merely a resource, but the very cause of their disappearance? Could they have uncovered something dangerous, something unstable, or something so transformative that it changed the course of their history forever? The possibility lingers like an unanswered question, adding another layer of intrigue to the enigma of their vanishing. One of the most unsettling features surrounding the ruins is what has been dubbed the dead zone, an eerie, barren ring that extends several hundred meters from the site itself. Unlike other ruined cities where vegetation may be sparse due to exposure or neglect, this area remains almost completely devoid of plant life. No grass, no shrubs, no trees, nothing grows here. The soil, though rich and fertile beyond the perimeter, seems to reject life within this strange radius. Scientists have pored over the land in an attempt to find an explanation. They've tested the soil for toxins, analyzed the air for contaminants, and even examined radiation levels. Yet all their efforts have yielded no conclusive answers. There are no clear signs of pollution or ecological damage that could explain the barren landscape. What's most perplexing is that the dead zone is perfectly circular, as if something unnatural has shaped its very existence. Could this be the result of ancient technology, an energy field, or something far more mysterious? No one can say for certain, but the ring remains, an unanswered question suspended in the landscape. There's something unsettling about the air around the ruins, something beyond just the silence. Several researchers, as well as locals, have reported hearing an inexplicable low-frequency hum emanating from the site. The sound is faint but constant, a deep, almost inaudible vibration that seems to come from deep within the earth itself. It's not the sound of machinery. There are no generators, no engines, no equipment of any kind in operation nearby. Nor can it be attributed to any geological phenomenon such as tectonic activity or volcanic tremors. The frequency of the hum has been recorded on various occasions, and researchers have attempted to pinpoint its source, yet every explanation falls short. Some theorize that it could be caused by seismic movements or natural resonance within the stone, but these theories fail to account for the consistency of the sound, nor the eerie sensation it creates in those who hear it. Is it a remnant of something buried deep below? Or is it something older, something that's been hiding in plain sight? The mystery of the hum persists, sending ripples of unease through anyone who dares to listen. The oddities of the site don't end with humans. There's something unsettling about the way animals behave around the ruins, too. Locals report that domestic animals, from dogs to livestock, refuse to go near the area. They'll bark at the air, cower in fear, and in some cases, break free from their owner's control to avoid the vicinity. Wild animals are no less affected. Deer, rabbits, and even birds seem to avoid the site entirely, as though some invisible force is keeping them at bay. Scientists are baffled by this behavior. It's not simply a case of animals avoiding an unfamiliar or dangerous area. Their reactions seem to go beyond instinctive caution. It's as though they can sense something humans cannot. Some researchers suggest that electromagnetic fields might be playing a role, though there's no clear evidence to support this. Could the ruins hold some kind of hidden energy, something that animals with their heightened senses are detecting but humans cannot? The questions about this unnerving phenomenon remain unanswered as animals continue to shy away from the site, giving rise to further suspicion and intrigue. Perhaps the most curious piece of evidence comes in the form of an ancient map, a centuries-old document that marks the ruins long before their official discovery. The map was uncovered in an archive far removed from the site, in a library that had no known connection to the civilization in question. Yet the cartographer's meticulous rendering of the area, complete with exact geographical details, matches the ruins' location to an eerie degree. How could an unknown cartographer from a distant land have known the precise coordinates of a site that had been hidden for centuries? Experts who have studied the map are unable to offer any reasonable explanation. Some speculate that the map could have been drawn based on old travelers' accounts, but the level of accuracy is simply too high to support this theory. No known expedition had ventured to the site at the time, and no other map makers from that era had recorded such detail. How did this cartographer know? Could it be that the site's existence was more widely known in ancient times, only to be forgotten by history? Or is there something else at play? A deeper, more inexplicable connection between this lost civilization and the world outside? When archaeologists first uncovered the site, they found a civilization that was, by all appearances, thriving at the peak of its prosperity. The evidence was clear: expansive urban planning, intricate art, and a vibrant culture that appeared to have been flourishing just before its sudden disappearance. There were no signs of decline, no indications of societal collapse, and certainly no early warning signs of any kind. This was a people at the height of their power, creating grand monuments, building complex infrastructure, and engaging in trade with distant lands. Their pottery, artwork, and architecture spoke of a society that was progressing, innovating, and expanding. And yet, just as suddenly as they had risen, they vanished, leaving no trace of why or how it happened. It was as though an entire civilization, full of life and vibrancy, was swept away without a single clue as to what went wrong. The stark contrast between their flourishing society and their abrupt disappearance only deepens the mystery. Among the most eerie discoveries at the site were traces of a grand festival, possibly the last event of this civilization before its disappearance. Fragments of ceremonial objects, incomplete feasts, and unfinished decorations suggested that the people were preparing for a celebration of great significance. The scale of the preparations pointed to a festival that would have been a major cultural event, one that symbolized the height of their social and spiritual life. Yet the festival was never completed. No final rituals, no closing ceremonies, just a sudden, unsettling interruption. What happened that caused the festivities to halt so abruptly? Did something or someone force them to abandon their celebration? Was it a natural event, an outside threat, or perhaps something internal that disrupted the society so dramatically The mystery of why the festival ceased mid-preparation remains one of the most haunting aspects of their final days, raising the question, was this celebration their last act, or was something much darker at play? In the heart of the ruins stands a massive, half-carved monument, a towering structure that seems to have been abandoned in the midst of its creation. The monument's incomplete state is striking. The stonework is precise, but the sculptors, builders, and laborers simply walked away, leaving the monument forever unfinished. It's as though the construction had been halted mid-sentence, the intent of the creators left incomplete. Archaeologists have speculated that perhaps the workers were interrupted by some sudden, catastrophic event, but nothing in the surrounding soil or structures suggests such a disturbance. No signs of fire, flood, or attack. No tools were left behind, no evidence of the construction being forcefully stopped. It raises the haunting question: what caused them to abandon such an ambitious project in its prime? Was it fear, a sudden catastrophe, or a purposeful cessation of work? The monument stands as a silent, unfinished testament to a culture that was so close to completing its legacy, yet never did. Among the final remnants of the civilization's decline is a cryptic symbol etched onto the last wall of a great building, left behind like a secret message. Some researchers interpret the symbol as a warning, an omen of something terrible that was about to happen. Others believe it to be a final farewell, an expression of the people's last thoughts as they faced the unknown. The symbol itself is intricate and strange, unlike anything else found at the site. Its meaning remains unclear and interpretations vary. Was it a plea for help, an attempt to warn future generations, or simply an expression of the civilization's final thoughts? The mystery of this symbol haunts researchers who wonder if this was the civilization's last attempt to communicate with the outside world, or perhaps with those who would follow in their footsteps. The question remains: what exactly were they trying to say, and why did they leave this message behind? One of the more speculative theories surrounding the sudden disappearance of this civilization is the cosmic event hypothesis. This theory suggests that a celestial or atmospheric phenomenon, such as a comet strike, solar flare, or asteroid impact, could have wiped out the civilization in an instant. It's a dramatic idea. A single event from the heavens altering the course of history, erasing a thriving society in the blink of an eye. However, despite the intrigue surrounding this possibility, there is no global evidence to support it. There are no signs of widespread devastation, no crater or impact evidence, and no shifts in the global atmosphere that would indicate such a cataclysmic event. So why does the site alone bear the mark of something so extraordinary? Could this civilization have been the victim of a cosmic event that targeted them specifically, or is it merely the subject of coincidence and imagination? The idea persists, but the lack of tangible evidence leaves it lingering as a hypothesis, one with no clear resolution. Another possibility raised by some scholars is that the lost civilization may not have disappeared entirely, but instead integrated into another society, one we have yet to uncover. The parallel culture theory posits that the civilization's people could have migrated, blended into neighboring cultures, and eventually became part of a larger, more dominant civilization. If this is true, then their legacy might still be hidden within the cultures that followed, their influence disguised beneath layers of history. What if the disappearance wasn't as sudden and absolute as it seems, but rather a quiet absorption into another society? Could it be that the civilization survivors left behind no trace because they were slowly incorporated into the fabric of another. The mystery of their disappearance might not lie in their demise, but in their transformation into something else entirely, a hidden part of our own historical narrative. Among the more controversial theories is the idea that external forces, be they natural, supernatural, or technological, interfered with the civilization, causing their sudden end. This could be anything from a hostile invasion by an unknown force to the accidental or deliberate use of advanced technology or even supernatural elements that caused the collapse. No one can explain the precise timing of the civilization's disappearance, which leaves room for speculation. Could something or someone have intervened at the exact moment of their peak, altering the course of their history? Was this society wiped out by an external force, or were they simply unable to overcome some hidden, unseen threat? The theories surrounding this question are varied, but none can provide conclusive evidence, leaving the possibility open for further debate and investigation. In the end, the mystery of this civilization remains unresolved, its story unfinished. Each new discovery raises more questions than answers, and the enigma only deepens with time. The ruins, the artifacts, the symbols, each piece is a puzzle, a clue that leads only to more mysteries. The unanswered questions continue to haunt researchers and historians alike, leaving behind a sense of longing for a resolution that may never come. What if the greatest clue still lies buried beneath the next layer of soil, waiting to be unearthed? What if one day the final piece of the puzzle will surface, revealing the truth behind the civilization's disappearance? Until then, the story remains incomplete, a tantalizing riddle that will continue to captivate the curious and the inquisitive, pushing us to look deeper into the past in search of answers.